afternoon and welcome to UPFront. My name is Tekla Ali Johnson and I am very excited today about our special guest that we have with us. It's Mr. Bill Hanna, and we want to welcome you to the show.
Thank you very much.
And this is one of the very, very, very well-known jazz artists here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I guess we should start off by just talking about things from the beginning. When did you first start loving jazz and music in general?
Wow. Well, you know, I was born at a very early age. Well, everybody is, but anyway, in Louisville, Kentucky. All right? And we lived there 1 year. That was the only place my dad could find a job during the Great Depression. But we moved to North Carolina, and I can remember in the first grade taking piano, okay? And I was doing real well with it, but the boys were all calling me a sissy because I was playing piano, you know. And this is Mooresville, North Carolina. We lived in Mooresville, North Carolina at that time, and I couldn't stand it, you know. I told my folks I've got to quit. They said, "You'll be sorry." I said, "Well, maybe I will, but I can't stand it now." You know? So shortly thereafter, we had a soldier come to our house during World War II. Our church was feeding soldiers from a camp up around Davidson. You know, we'd bring them home, feed them, and take them back down to camp. Well, this soldier could play boogie woogie on the piano. He could play it out. Teach me how to do that, you know,
right.
And I'll keep playing piano. You know? I said, "Mother, go buy me a beginning boogie woogie book," which she did, you know, and I worked on that thing hard and long and hard, you know. It wasn't real easy to do, but I loved it because I liked the way it sounded. And the next thing is the boys in the neighborhood wouldn't beat me up because they loved to hear it too, you know.
Now, were your parents musical?
Yeah,
okay.
My mother was a piano teacher. But she didn't teach me because she felt like it would be better if I studied with someone else, you know, like she didn't want to discipline her child too much. You know?
Right.
My dad was actually a textile man by trade, but he played violin and the C melody sax, okay? He played, as a matter of fact, that's the way my mother and dad met. Mother had a band called the Gloom Chasers.
Wow.
This was in 1922 or 3, somewhere along in there. And Dad auditioned for her band, and that's the way they met.
Jeez.
So
did she keep it after they got married?
I don't know how long they kept the band, but I do know that that's the way they met.
Okay.
And anyway, I played boogie woogie for the next 3 or 4 years, just in the key of C, you know, doing the same thing over and over and over, and never thinking you could do it in other keys and all that stuff.
Right.
And I got to be quite a name in Mooresville. All the kids up there wanted to hear little Billy Hanna play the boogie woogie, you know. And so I was.
So what happened after that? Because
after that, the 6th grade came along, and Mr. Warlick came to Mooresville High School, not Mooresville High, to Parkview Elementary School, which was in Mooresville, and wanted to start a band. And he said, "Now, if you have an instrument, you own an instrument, bring it, and we'll start you on that instrument." Well, my dad said, "Take this saxophone, go to the band, and play it." Now, it's a C melody sax. It's a concert instrument. Dad bought it so he could play along the sheet music with Mother. Right. He'd see a C on this sheet music here. He'd play a C on the saxophone. It would be the same note.
Right.
Okay, it was not a transposing instrument. My band director thought it was an E-flat alto saxophone, so he gave me E-flat alto sax parts. And the notes didn't come out right. You know, they weren't going to be right. He said, "Your horn's broken, you need something else." And so I went home and said, "Dad, Mr. Warlick said the horn was broken." Dad said, "No, it isn't. Give that thing to me." And he took it and, "Dinah, is there anyone finer?" And he played Dinah. He said, "It plays great."
Right.
I said, "Well, Dad, I don't know what's going on." I didn't know about it, you know. I said, "He says that I can't play it in the band." So my uncle, who lived over in Belmont, loaned me a trombone. And so that's the reason I'm playing trombone. Now, the next 3 or 4 years, we moved. Dad being a textile man, we moved all the time. We lived in 36 different addresses on my way up, okay? 36 different houses, okay? Right. 6th grade in Mooresville, I started in the band there. We moved shortly after the 6th grade to Columbia, South Carolina. There was no band in the school where I was in the 7th grade. In the 8th grade, we moved to Rutherford, North Carolina, no band. In the 9th grade, we moved to Rockingham, North Carolina, no band.
So in those years you played on
I didn't play anything. I just let the trombone, to coin a phrase, let it slide. You know, I didn't play it.
Right.
You know.
But you're still playing the piano.
I was still fiddling with boogie woogie on the piano.
Okay.
Just boogie woogie. I mean,
Jeez.
I didn't know there was anything else to play, I guess.
And your mother's still not teaching you in this time?
No,
Okay.
she was teaching privately, you know, and she kept telling me, you know, if you want to start working hard, go ahead. If not, we're not going to push it, you know. And I think it's probably the best thing that maybe ever happened. They didn't push me. They might have pushed me away from music. I don't know. But I got all the way through. I went back to Mooresville in the 10th grade, and all the people I'd started with in that band in Mooresville up there in the 6th grade, I'd already been playing 4 years, and I was low man on the totem pole, okay?
Gotcha.
Really. My band director, Mr. Robert Klepfer, let Helen McNeely audition me, and Helen McNeely was my childhood sweetheart. Helen was playing the baritone horn, and he sent her into a room with me to audition. I had to audition for the band in front of her, and it was the most embarrassing thing in the world. You know, I didn't play too well, but
she still took it.
Yeah, they put me in the band, okay, and 10th, 11th, and 12th grade in Mooresville, I played in the Mooresville High School marching band and the concert band, and Baxter Potts had a stage band that met in Mooresville, and we tried to play some jazz charts and things like that, but nobody knew what to do. You know, Baxter played drums. He didn't know how to read. You know, it was kind of a mess, right? And we just peripherally played music, you know, and all this stuff. I wasn't really set on fire yet. Okay.
I can't wait to hear what happened.
But what set me on fire was when I graduated at Mooresville High School. I went to Davidson College as a business major. Not music. I wasn't going to major in music. I just went to Davidson because it was 7 miles from Mooresville. It was close. It's a good school. I figured maybe I'd get out of there. I'd know something. I still didn't know what I wanted to do.
I think I know what happened. I'm not going to tell, but I think I know.
Well, okay.
I think you might tell me.
At the end of my junior year, my grades weren't good enough to keep me out of the Army. And the Army got me.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. And I went through basic training, and someone said, you need to go to second 8 weeks of band training school. You like music. It's real easy duty, you know. I said, I don't know. I went down and auditioned, and I passed by about that much. They gave me a march to read, you know, and I sloughed my way through it. So they put me in the second 8 weeks of basic training.
Right.
Band school. And they were talking about intervals, like minor thirds and augment seconds and all that stuff, you know.
Teaching class,
right, that sounds pretty interesting. But then one night in the barracks, where the epiphany came, okay, they had a piano at the end of the barracks there. They had a set of drums, they had a bass, and the fellows were jamming. They were playing some pretty good stuff, you know. And I'm sitting over there with my trombone on the cot. I said, that sounds so good, you know, I believe I could do that. And I went up and asked the fellow, I said, do you mind if can I play? He said, do you fake? I said, no, I'm not a fake, I'm for real. He said, no, I mean, do you improvise? I said, well, I'm hearing something here in my head, maybe I can or not. He said, okay, when it's your turn to play, we'll ask you, okay? And they pointed me, okay, man, blow. And I sat up there, and I heard these ideas in my head, but I couldn't find them on the trombone. Not in time, you know, it was too late. What the idea had already gone by. And they kind of laughed me off the bandstand and said, son, if you're going to play this kind of music, you're going to have to practice, you know. And that was what set me on fire. I said, I love this kind of music. I don't want to be embarrassed ever again, but I'm embarrassed every time I play. Man. You know, I mean, it's just too big a thing.
But Bill, that was jazz. Was it jazz?
Yes, it was.
This
was improvisation. Jazz.
Jazz.
Doesn't have to be big band. It can be any size group. You're improvising. I like the idea of improvising, making up my own melodies. You know.
Well, let's take a listen to something you played recently, and come right back.
Something recently.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break. You play us a little something, and you play us on out to the break.
to sing with me?
Thank you very much.
Just so beautiful. Can you pick up where you went off and left off and tell us a little bit more about what happened next in your life?
Yeah, well, I decided definitely wanted to play jazz, all right? My orders came down to be shipped to Frankfurt, Germany. I thought that was the end of my life, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I got into the 4th Infantry Division Band in Frankfurt, Germany in 1955, okay? And we had a whole bunch of fellows in that band playing jazz. And there was a lot of jazz being played around Frankfurt. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of jazz being played all over Europe, okay? The Europeans love jazz. Anyway, I got in with some fellows that started showing me some changes, chord changes, tunes, start learning how to practice. You have to practice constantly, all the time. It doesn't come in by osmosis. You have to practice.
Now here you're on the trombone still? Or you're on the
I was still
piano?
on no piano yet, just trombone,
Okay.
And so I decided after my 2 years of stint in the Army, I'm going to go back and I'm going to finish that last year at Davidson College, which I did. I got my business degree from Davidson College in 1956, and then I went to Indiana University into the music school, okay? And I got into the graduate program of music at Indiana because of all the theory I had learned from being in Germany and my senior year at Davidson College, Anyway, they put me in the master's program. However, jazz, this is really weird. Jazz was frowned upon at Indiana University at that time.
That's what I was going to say.
It was frowned upon.
I was going to say,
yeah.
I didn't know you were formally trained because I didn't know there was jazz.
I have a master's degree in trombone from Indiana University, okay? Now, but we still played some jazz here and there, and my trombone instructor, however, put me on a horrible embouchure change when I got up there because I was playing, it didn't look right up here to him. So it set me back about six months. Really, it was an awful thing. And there's where the piano comes in. I could take only about 5 minutes of practice on the trombone, and I'd go to the next room. There was a piano in that room, and I'd start walking. Start walking bass lines. Around there, just fool around with blues. I was playing a 12-bar blues, okay? And I got into it, and Fred Schock came by one day and said, "Bill, look here, these chords, A minor 9, D13 flat 9, to a G major 9, sounds like the first 3 chords to a tune called Laurel." And it was, I said, I sat and fiddled with those chords over and over. It never occurred to me to think I could take it down another whole step. Stuff.
Right,
It took a while for stuff to set in on my brain up here, but I got very, very much involved in playing the piano because I could only take just a little bit of the trombone and that's where I really got started on piano.
So,
I'm 25 years old. I'm late for what most people do when they're playing piano. You know, Chick Corea started when he was 3. You know, Keith Jarrett started when he was 4 or something like that. He played his first concert when he's 6. So I got a late start, but I'm not gonna cry over spilt milk, man. I enjoy it. Nobody can enjoy it any more than me. You know.
But, okay, so what happened next? You started playing with some bands.
Well, when I graduated Indiana University, I just happened to be in the right place. I got the Dave Baker Big Band, which I played in when I was at Indiana University, won an award at the Notre Dame Jazz Festival that year, and one of those awards was a free band camp that summer at Indiana University presented by Stan Kenton, the wonderful big band man. They had the big band that was so popular all over the world. So I go to that camp. They gave it to me because I was the only one that was going to be around the school that summer. Not because I was the best one in the band. I wasn't. Freddie Hubbard was in that band, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
this was a pretty good big band. And Dave Baker was the leader of the band. He's now the head of the jazz program at IU. They have a jazz program there now. You can get your doctorate degree in jazz studies at Indiana University. So things have changed.
Right.
Okay. So anyway, I happened to be on that camp, and the trombone instructor at that camp heard me play the trombone, and he said, "Do you want to be on the Stan Kenton band?" And I looked at him, I said, "You've got to be kidding me." He said, "Yeah." Don Sebesky's wife is leaving. His wife is having a baby. He's going to be gone 3 months, and they're going to need a replacement. And he said, "I'll give Stan a recommendation and tell him to hire you."
Oh.
So, you know,
Yes.
I'm sitting there in the practice room one day, and somebody comes down the hall. "Bill, Stan Kenton wants to talk to you on the phone." I said, "Yeah, right, okay." "No, for real, he's on the phone." So I go and he says, "Can you join us tonight in Waterloo, Iowa?" I said, "Yes, I can. I'll be there." "What time?" He said, 9 o'clock at a place called Electric Park in Waterloo, Iowa. And that, I went on I was there and I toured with him for 3 months. And when I was leaving, he said, "What do you want to do after you leave my band?" I said, "I want to be on Woody Herman's band." He said, "Go home to Wagram," where my folks were living at that time, down the east here, and they'll call you when the band is forming.
Wow.
So they called me, and I went to New York, joined the Woody Herman band, and toured with them for about a year and a half.
Can I ask you a question? Did you learn more performing with those big bands than you did in school, or was it just a different kind of learning, just a totally different animal, or what?
I learned a whole bunch playing in Dave Baker's big band at IU. The charts we played there weren't any more difficult than the ones we played on the Kenton band or the Woody Herman band, really. But the one thing I noticed, it was so much easier to play in those big bands because everybody was playing their part right. Every part was being played right. And it made it so much easier to sit down and play. You know, I was worried about whether I would be able to sight read the parts well enough, you know.
Right.
But
well, let's talk about what you've been doing over the last few years since you moved to Charlotte, because I happened to pick up that magazine recently, local magazine here. I'm not sure if we'll say the name of it, but and you were featured in there. And they said a number of things about you. In fact, they had some nicknames in there for you. They called you the Godfather of Jazz in Charlotte. They called you a local legacy. What else? I think one of the well-known artists who've gone on and left Charlotte and doing things other places. I think Adrian Crutchfield. I think they said they'd play with Prince, but he said that there would be no jazz community here if it weren't for you. And he said there would be people playing, but in terms of the sense of community. So could you talk about what you've been doing, on and off stage to make that happen?
Well, I traveled until I couldn't stand the Woody Herman band anymore because Jimmy Gwynn and I just didn't see eye to eye. So after a year and a half, I left, okay? I mean, I'm a pretty easy person to get along with, but I mean, there was something always bugging him, and it was usually me sitting beside him. So
was it about the music or just?
He didn't like the way I was phrasing. He didn't like. He thought I was talking about him behind his back, and he wouldn't. When he'd ask me if you want to play a solo, "No, man, you take it, it's your solo." I mean, he was never happy. Okay, and so I took enough of that. Yeah. I left the band. I came to Wagram, spent a while with my folks there. Decided I wanted to come to Charlotte because Charlotte is the biggest of the two Carolinas. I was going to come to Charlotte, get a small group like a quintet, and I was going to teach privately, and that was going to be my life. Okay, well, I got up here and someone said there's an opening in the public school system to teach junior high band and orchestra and elementary school band. Now, I don't have a teacher's degree, okay? But I talked to Oliver Cook, and Oliver hired me, okay? I got hired for 1 year with an emergency certificate to teach for that 1 year. Stated that if I were to teach any more, I would have to go fulfill whatever the state of North Carolina says I need for my teacher's degree, okay?
So what
teacher's ed degree. So I taught that 1 year, and dadgum, I loved it, you know. I was living vicariously through my students, you know, teaching them, and they were having fun. I was having fun, and we enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't one of those things where the kids come in and they blow as loud as they can, and you can't stop little Junior over here. They love to come in there and play. And so that's, I said,
so
I stayed on. I went to Winthrop College that summer, got whatever I needed to get, and 30 years later, I retired from the Charlotte Mecklenburg school system.
Now, I know a secret story about that, that they said that, I can't remember which middle school it was, or junior high, but that you actually sponsored the band in the evening. You sponsored some of it with your own money, sponsored it.
Oh, no, that was a stage band that I taught on Monday night. It was called the Monday Night Jazz Band. Which I got paid nothing for that.
That's what I've heard.
And we competed in competition throughout the state, you know, for these high school jazz bands. And we'd usually win, you know, because I've got students, oh Lord, I've got students that I've taught over these past, of course, I've been at Central Piedmont Community College now for like 15 years.
Okay, so you left public school teaching in 90?
I retired after 30 years in 1990.
Jeez.
And then I came here in 90, and I've been here ever since. So that's 15 years, right? Wait a minute. Yeah. 25 years, isn't it?
Yeah, because
that's 25 years. Yeah, good Lord, I've been teaching 55 years.
So someone else said that almost every musician who's playing in Charlotte you've touched them in some way or another. These are just quotes.
I've taught a lot of people. There's no doubt about that, but I haven't taught them all. You know, they've got a great program over at the Northwest School of the Arts, which we've got this Adrian Crutchfield young man came from there. You know, and Ashland Parker, trumpet player, youngster, who went down to New Orleans here a couple of years ago and won the Outstanding Young Louis Armstrong Award. Outstanding.
Okay, great.
Ryan Saranich, full scholarship up to Berkeley. He is now playing, playing, arranging, recording. He's even invented a saxophone reed that's being sold all over the world. Michael D'Angelo, drummer, who went to North Texas State, which is one of the finest jazz schools in America, and he played in their best band they have down there. Okay, so you're teaching in the classroom. I didn't. I didn't have these people in my class.
I know. I want you to name some that you have.
Well, you know, John Thornton, trumpet player. Extraordinaire. David Lale. Who's there are players that are known around this town. And they've played with some big name people.
That's what we want to know. Who's local? This is local.
And
local
these are local people.
Right.
Tony Hayes, who has played with a whole bunch of folks. You know, I mean names that right now I can't even think of.
Well, you help create a forum also besides just formal teaching in the classroom. You also have something you do on Tuesday nights, I understand.
Well, Tuesday night, we play at the Double Door every Tuesday night. I host a jam session there from 9 to 12, and I have a quintet that's the bass band, but we let folks sit in, you know.
Well, let's take another listen and just hear another tune, and we'll be right back.
Okay.